What is up, everybody? It is the Wins a Win podcast. We're super excited to be back. We've had a little hiatus lately. Um, we've had some interesting things happen in our lives. We've decided to take a playbook out of Aaron Rodgers' playbook again. We went back to our little hut, did some things, and now we're back ready to go. Supposedly this is episode 17. If it's not, Charles said that he has sold me on it. So please,
You could blame
hopefully it's
Charles for that
17.
one.
You can
Yeah,
blame
I'm
Charles.
looking it up right now. Don't worry.
However,
I
we're
think
pretty
it's
excited.
17.
I think it is
I
17.
think it is 17.
Sorry.
Charles is.
Um, it is number. Yeah, it is. Sweet. Let's go.
Oh, thank goodness.
All right.
So now that that's out of the way, we're pretty excited for today's episode. We know we're a couple days late to the party, but we're going to be discussing NBA Finals. We're be discussing the Denver Nuggets. For those of you who don't see, I got my Nuggets jersey on. It is a 2020 Michael Porter Jr. jersey, so I'm not just a fair weather Nuggets fan. Just for those of you who might think so. Um, and we'll be talking about the Heat, kind of our thoughts and opinions on it, and we're pretty excited. Does anyone have any thoughts on the intro or anything before we jump into our topic?
I do. Sam, didn't you have something hanging up there last time we
Oh, are
filmed?
you
Like on
talking
your,
about? Are you talking about on that painting?
yeah, you had like a Chiefs thing or something.
Yeah, it
Where'd
kept
that
falling.
go?
I had a Chiefs flag on it. It kept falling down, so I just took it off.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry guys.
And that's how the dynasty falls right there.
Our
yeah.
production value is going a little downhill lately.
Also, I will say real quick, to drop off a little bit off of Matt, we've been a little MIA, but we are very excited for these next couple months, the summer months, because the sports world is a little slow at the moment, not much going on. So we have a lot of ideas of kind of taking things outside the box and not making it our normal sports talk every time. We've got maybe more movie Mondays, other things that we want to watch, other topics, and just like fun ways to incorporate sports. So we're really excited about that. We're going to work a lot on bringing new topics that are super fun, and hopefully you guys enjoy them. It'll be a good summer. I can feel it. So
Yeah,
just wanted to say that.
yeah, we got a lot of ideas coming down the pipeline, so it'll be fun to get back into it.
All right, Matt, you're good.
Awesome.
Take it away,
Well,
Matt.
boys, um, I don't know. I kind of just want to. I know Charles had sent some topics to us in the chat and everything. But I kind of just wanted to start off with, um, how do we feel about Jokic's post game, post NBA championship vibe? I really want to know everyone's thoughts on it
Oh, that's so
because
funny.
I have thoughts on it and everything. And for those of you who don't know, the Nuggets did win the NBA Finals, so I'm pretty sure everyone knows that by now.
Mhm.
But if for some reason this is the first time you're hearing it, the Nuggets did win in 5 games, 4-1. They beat the Miami Heat. Jokic did win the NBA Finals MVP, deservedly so. Um, but yeah, kind of what was your thoughts or reactions to watching it? I know for me, I usually like when someone was a championship, I kind of just like turn it off. But like for the Nuggets, I kind of wanted to watch a little bit more because it was one of my teams that won because the Suns haven't won ever. And then the Nuggets are like my second favorite team. And so I wanted to stick around and stuff. And honestly, I'm really happy I did because it was honestly pretty funny. But what were your guys' thoughts on kind of Jokic's response to like, you just want a ring, you just want MVP, and all that stuff?
It
You go,
served
Sam. Yeah, you go.
okay. Okay. It served as good entertainment value, definitely. I I'm not as more like a casual NBA fan. I wasn't too impressed. This finals was kind of a snooze fest compared to like the last few finals. The playoffs was very fun, but I think the finals was kind of a letdown. But I'm glad that you brought the topic up. I thought Jokic it was super funny with his little post game interview. He was not interested at all. He was just like, I'm ready to go back home and race my horses, which is really funny. Um, as much hate as you guys want to give to Mahomes, at least he's a big game player. He's always super hyped up after wins. He wins MVPs left and right. He's the most successful quarterback in the league right now. I mean, at least he gets a little excited for winning. And Jokic, he just went up there and he's like, "Oh, you finally won NBA Finals and you got NBA MVP." He's like, "Okay, let me go home,
Just
go back to Serbia."
just a side note, I feel like we should have like an episode counter of how many times Mahomes is brought up in our freaking podcast because of Sam. Like we're not even talking about Mahomes, we're talking about Jokic, and he goes, "Well, Mahomes." It's like, oh my goodness.
Well,
Anyways,
first of all, you guys are giving flack on Mahomes before the podcast even started. Second of all, he is like the perfect example for every like situation I have in my
oh
head.
my
Mahomes is
gosh.
the perfect man.
Well, I can see why you're riding him a little more with how the Cardinals are doing, but we don't have to talk about them today. Anyways,
You
so
didn't have to. You didn't have to go that far. We're
real
not even
quick,
talking
Oh
about baseball.
real
jeez.
quick.
Oh jeez.
I'm dishing it out to Matt too. I wanted to ask you, Matt, real quick, little flip question. You said you
Uh-huh.
watched it a little bit after. I'm curious,
hmm
how quick did you turn off Game 6 of the Suns Bucks finals? How quick was that?
Um,
Was that an instant turn off?
did you say Suns Bucks finals? Pretty much whenever you see the meme of like Booker saying, he's like, dang, but
Yeah.
obviously, he doesn't say that word. Basically, once he says that, he looks around. That's when I turned it off. I was like, that's my feeling exactly. Turn it
You
off.
you stayed a little more than I thought you would. I thought maybe when there was the free throws, you might have already turned it off when it was over.
No, I wanted to watch the end so that way I could say I watched the end, like it's my team, that kind of stuff. But once Booker said that, he was just like, dang, like that's when I turned it off because I was like, they let it get away. Like that was like their year and they let it get away. So, anyways, that
Yeah,
was for me
I
for
just
Suns
wanted to ask
Bucks.
you that. So a little flip question, not to bring up
Mhm.
that moment again. Yeah. So Jokic, yeah, it's kind of insane how little emotion he shows playing at the highest level of professional basketball. I think I also heard something from it was Isaiah Thomas podcast, or he was on a podcast, and they asked him what's Jokic like in person because Isaiah Thomas played for a little bit with the Nuggets. He was like, he just like when they were done, he was just on his phone playing like a mobile game in the locker room or something.
I
Just
think he
some
played. I think he played Clash Royale. I think is what he was playing.
Clash Royale. Let's
Really?
go. Supercell shout out.
Wow,
Anyways, he was playing Clash Royale, I guess.
a
It's
trillion
like
man
I
of the
said, and he
people.
doesn't really show emotion on the court either. He doesn't get fired up after big plays. He doesn't really talk to anyone, like talk trash. He's just all, the only thing he does is as soon as if the other team makes a shot, he instantly grabs the ball and throws it in. They go fast. That's like the most emotion he shows, if that's even counts as emotion. He just grabs it and throws it real quick. It's kind of impressive. And I mean, they won a championship, so I can't knock it. But to be fair, he obviously they had a great time at the parade. He said he wishes he could do it forever or whatever he said. So he had fun there, and he did tackle Jamal Murray into a pool, which was super fun. That was probably my
Mhm.
favorite clip. So he showed some happiness. He's just not really like that with the media necessarily. And so, on the podium, he's not going to maybe, be talking like all that, but he obviously showed some positive, happy emotions after. So, and only him would tackle someone into the pool like that. Like I feel like he's the only guy to do that. He's so goofy and he's funny. So, shout out to Jokic. I liked it.
Yeah, for my opinions, like that was funny. And like, so, how do you feel about the parade? And he goes, when's the parade? It's on Thursday. He goes, oh no, like that was funny. And
Yeah.
another funny one too was when they're like, okay, so like, because Djokovic or whatever, he's a tennis player. He just won his 23rd not Grand
Mhm.
Slam, but major title, and he's Serbian as well. And so he's like, hey, have you gotten a text from Novak? Fellow Serbians, and he looks on his phone and he has like so many messages. He goes, "Oh, freak, no! Like, what the heck? Like, you can tell he like really doesn't care. He's just like, man." He goes, "One, I want to go home to my horses. Two, I want to be with family. And three, it's like I've seen all these memes, but they're like, yeah, NBA is just a side quest for Joker." And like honestly, it's like so true. Like he just is like, yeah, it was good to play basketball. It's fun, but time off
It's
now. It's just so funny.
Let me put it like this: basketball's not necessarily a side quest, but the NBA is a side quest for him, like the business part of it. It's just when he's on the court, he obviously gives 100%, but he's just playing basketball. That's all he's doing. And that's his main quest. And all the other stuff associated with the NBA, he does not care about really at all. So
No, and
it's
it's like pretty awesome, just like
yeah.
how like for me, because I'm like a super big family guy. Like I really liked how he had his daughter there and was like hanging out with her and all this kind of stuff. Like I thought that was big, really cool. And then if I don't know if you guys watched to the they did like a team photo and Murray's in the front with Malone with the trophy and everything like that. But like Jokic like didn't even
Yeah,
have his trophy. He
I
was just
noticed
in the
that.
back, just chilling, like doesn't care. And then like they asked him, "Hey, do you know where your MVP trophy
I
is?"
was
And he
gonna
was like,
I was gonna bring
"No,
that
I
up.
have no." He was like, "No, I have no idea where it is. Like I could care less." It's like, bro, we just won the finals of the MVP, like NBA Finals MVP. Like bet, like you're like probably the best player in basketball at that time. And he's like, "Yeah, it's whatever." Which is just like, what the heck?
It's ridiculous.
Never seen it like we haven't obviously he's always been like this. It's just now that he got to the finals with this magnitude and won the finals, everyone sees it. But that's just how he is, and that's how he's been, and as a player. So it's extremely rare to see this. Someone that has just I don't even know. He balls out obviously, but you wouldn't think so if you talked to him on the street or
Yeah.
something. He would probably tell
I mean,
you.
I think if you saw him like this is like kind of like rant like I'm sure everyone knows about him like in Serbia, but like let's say you don't. If you saw him just on the street in Serbia and his horses and stuff, you'd probably think this dude's a regular farmer, like not like he just makes millions of dollars playing the NBA. Like to me, it's just like that's like the ultimate dad. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, like he shows up, does what he has to do, and he's like, all right, peace out, and like just does his like actual job like after basketball, which is just like crazy to think about.
It's amazing. The Joker.
Man, yeah, I don't think we've had an MVP like of this caliber be so good at basketball and then just not show any emotion like when he's off the court like that. It's kind of crazy to see. I'm definitely more towards a guy that shows a lot of emotion. Like I'll give props to LeBron for once. He does give a lot of emotion, and I'll give him credit for that. It's pretty entertaining. Jokic balls out. Jokic, he balls out, and then he just kind of sits down on the bench. He's like, "Okay, I'm done."
You can't necessarily hate him though either, because sometimes those emotion guys, if they're too far, those are like the more Dylan Brooks, how much he talks, and
Pat Bev.
Pat Bev,
Yeah, Pat Bev.
I mean, he's like I mean, obviously it's hard to say. I mean, I'm gonna guess he's humble, but he's like beyond humble in a way because he just does not talk at all to anyone. He just plays his game. He only talks to his teammates, obviously. It's like it's a word beyond humble because he just like you said, the finals MVP trophy, he doesn't even care about it. He's just like, oh, I don't know where it went. It's almost so beyond humble that it's not humble. I don't know. I don't even know where to place him, to be honest. That's the fun of it though. That's the Joker for you, right?
Yeah, I guess that's
I mean,
true. He's a
I would
joke.
I would say it's pretty humble. Like, I mean, when you're just like, oh, I mean, I think it just shows that like he doesn't care and realizes that basketball like isn't everything. Like, I mean, TBH, is Kobe probably rolling over in his grave that someone won the NBA Finals MVP that doesn't care about basketball? Maybe. I have no idea. But like at the same time, you hear these stories of people like all these players like wanting to play with Jokic and stuff. So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, he's like a super humble guy, doesn't care about like the accolades. He more cares about his teammates and his team. And I think that is the definition of a team player. And like
Yeah.
that's someone who you want on a team. Like if I had a player like that on my team, I would do anything for that team or that player. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the part what makes Jokic like so special.
We talked about it. I think we haven't talked about it on air, but I know I've been listening to a lot of Bill Simmons lately, and they keep bringing it up. But like Jokic, they do better when he passes more, and that's actually really his game. Like that's what he wants to play. He wants to set up his teammates. We brought up the stat when he scored those 40. They were 0-4 when he scored 40 points in the playoffs plus. He wants to pass to his teammates, wants to get his teammates involved. He doesn't necessarily want to score that much. And that's
I
what
want
you
to I
guys
want to say when he had 10 or more assists, I'm pretty sure they didn't lose. I think unless
yeah.
unless he had 10 assists like the Suns game and stuff. But like it was some ridiculous thing where it's like if he has 10 or more assists, I think they were like maybe 15-1 or 14-2 in the playoffs. Like it was
Yeah, he
ridiculous.
could care less about scoring. He's going to shoot if it's open, though, obviously, but he's going to pass if it's there before shooting. Like that's what he's going to do, and it's amazing. And I didn't even really know this about him until we got to this magnitude, because they'd been. I mean, obviously the bubble happened. They got to the Western Conference Finals. That was kind of whatever. And then the last couple seasons, they were bounced in the first round. So I didn't even really know this about Jokic until we got to here. So it's been good for him. Good.
I guess last year they were bounced in the first round.
Oh, the Suns.
The year before that, it was 2. It was
2. Yeah, you're right.
Because the Suns beat them
in 4
in that playoff in 4, and then did we beat them again?
Warriors. They lost to the Warriors last year. I remember.
Oh, Warriors. Yeah. The Warriors. Yep.
When Jordan Poole was actually like pretty okay at basketball. I don't know what happened to him. But, yeah, I don't know what happened to him. But
Jordan. Well, boys.
Yes.
Getting shipped off to China.
We love Jordan Poole. Talk about the Nuggets, my guys.
Yes.
You know what that means?
I apologize. Yes.
Oh, it's okay, but you know what that means?
No non-Nuggets players.
It means that you're going to hit the timer for me, the lap time, because it's the new topic.
I did, because we're moving on to the next topic, which is the Nuggets dynasty. And that's kind of what we were talking about, okay, they got bounced in the second round, now bounced in the first round, and now they're NBA champions. So with that in mind, and with the ages of the players, because you have a core 4, I would say, for the Nuggets. You have the Joker, I think, who's 27 or 28. Murray, who's, I believe, 25. MPJ is like 22 or 23. And then Aaron Gordon is also like 27, 28. So he's also kind of getting in there as well. Or is he close to 30? I forget about Aaron Gordon.
I can pull it up if you want the exact ages.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, sure. Yeah, so those 4 guys, in your opinion, what does the future of the Nuggets look like? Is it a dynasty? Is this maybe a 2-year run? What are your guys' thoughts based off of their performance from this year and the finals, and what you know now going forward? What do you guys think?
Sam, you got it.
I got it.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it a fluke, but I also think they're gonna see more of those like bouncing rounds, just early late round exits like that in the coming years. I don't think it's really a core 4 that can get multiple championships from this. I'm being a little critical on it, but the main man is Jokic, and I mean he's not old or anything, but he's a very big guy. He's over 7 feet tall, and age doesn't really turn out to be a good factor, especially when you're over 30 and you're that big of a guy like Jokic. You're not going to be able to play at the physical ability that he's playing at right now. Like, he absolutely balled out this season. He should have won his 3rd straight MVP. I think they might be in contention for another championship next season, but I can't say the same for the season.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
My favorite segment. Time to destroy Sam's argument. All right. Okay.
Go on,
so
Charles, let me hear.
I hear with you a little bit about the Nuggets. Or actually, sorry. Let me give you the ages, Matt, just for context. And then I'll go into mine. Aaron Gordon is 27. Nikola Jokic is 28. Jamal Murray's 26. Michael Porter is 24.
Ooh.
Okay, so that's pretty close on all those guys, man.
I do kind of agree with you a little, Sam, about, I wouldn't call this a fluke, but I do wonder a little bit about their long-term success. Like, they don't necessarily feel as strong as like past potential dynasties, But I do like the Jokic Murray 1-2, and that's going to get you far as long as they're doing well. And I actually will combat your argument about Jokic. The way he plays, I think he can sustain this for longer than you're giving him credit, because he really doesn't jump that high or move that fast, And he's only 28. 28 is like that prime age. So I think he's got like 4 more MVP caliber years in him, and that can win you championships. So I definitely think there's a window. I'm obviously not the biggest MPJ fan. I know Matt loves him, but he's a little on and off for me. I don't trust him as a core guy. He's making like 30 million. So I worry a bit about him. And Aaron Gordon has filled in nicely, but I don't know about a third option still for him. So I do wonder a little bit about their other pieces after Jamal Murray, because Jamal Murray is definitely a number 2 and he pairs so well with Jokic. But obviously they've got, something like Christian Braun looked really good, so he could be a future piece for them as like a wing. And then I think they should try and keep Bruce Brown if they can. He was really good for them. But yeah, I think.
What about KCP?
And KCP for sure. 3 and D. I think that there's a window. I would not call it a dynasty, but I would call it a window, I guess, if that makes sense. But I'm not gonna say dynasty yet.
I guess what we have to determine is what is the guideline or thing of a dynasty. Does that make sense? What would constitute a dynasty? Like obviously, like when I think of dynasties, granted, I know this is not NBA but NFL, the Patriots were a dynasty for those 20 years, and granted, I don't think you'll see anyone go 20 years in a sport, let alone basketball, for dynasty. I know we do refer to the Warriors having a dynasty. So what do you guys think is like the years or thresholds of okay, that was a dynasty? Does that make sense?
Very good question. For me, I think,
and I would say do this in NBA terms, because obviously football terms it's a little bit easier because you have more players, etc. But like let's do like NBA type dynasty, because I mean with the Patriots they went to, I think it was either 14 or 15 AFC championship games, went to 10 Super Bowls, so all that kind of stuff. So
I think it's got to be a minimum of a 5-year sample size, or I think that's the sweet spot. And I think you've got to make it to at least 4 finals and probably win 2 or 3. And I say that is a dynasty. I think it's got to be sustained though for 5 years. And I'll give them a little bit of leverage. They don't have to make the finals every year. I'll give them 1, but I'd say 4 out of 5 is probably, as long as you win at least a couple or all of them. But yeah. And obviously it helps if you repeat. I think that really strengthens it and you have a little leverage there. But I'd say right around a 5-year run where you get, you're always competing, you get to the finals most of the time. That's my assumption of a dynasty, which I think that can happen with these Nuggets for sure. So, but that's my assumption.
So,
good question though, Matt. That's good. Yeah,
what
do
about you, Sam?
Well, a perfect consideration that I have, I keep it in NBA terms. If it were the NFL, I'd go straight to the Chiefs. They're going on 25 years, AFC Championship every year. But that's not the topic, though.
I'll give you that, though. I'll give you it.
The perfect team that I always think of when I think of like a dynasty is obviously the Warriors. They're still a very recent team. I mean, they're still, you can still even call that they're in championship contention now, but they're a stretch from 2015 to 2019. They made the finals every year and they won 3 of those finals too. That's crazy impressive. I will say that. They still have it going for them. They've won 4 finals in the last 8 years. They still have a chance to win more, but my personal threshold, I think, for what determines a dynasty like that, I would say maybe 3 finals appearances like that. The Nuggets do have that one in 2020, and they did just win 2023. So they have 2
Western Conference Finals.
Well, Western Conference
Finals. They did. Yeah.
How do you forget 2020? That's the LeBron ring, the little Mickey. Keep going.
The little Mickey.
Yeah.
That's the bubble year as well too. That's why I forget about it. But yeah, I think of a fair way to say if they make 3 finals appearances, that'd be good.
Wow.
3 finals appearances in what span of time though? What span of time?
That's a good question. I immediately think like a good number of that would be like within a 5-year time span, but I also think that's a little strict for a dynasty. You're obviously not going to see something like that great happen from time to time.
Well, that's why dynasties are rare.
That's true.
I think they should have high standards.
Are you saying Jokic is the guy to make that rarity happen?
Yeah, I believe. I mean, obviously, you can't be only him, but you have him, and that's the first piece in a dynasty. So
it is true.
Yeah,
he's the first piece.
That's the main piece he needs.
He's not like a Steph Curry or a Jordan Poole, but he's okay.
Jordan Poole,
the GOAT, Jordan Poole. Matt, what say you?
What say I?
What say you?
For me, I think for a dynasty, I think you have to. I think the sample size has to be 5 or 6 years, and you have to be in and win at least half of those. So, like, obviously the Warriors were in there from 15 to 19, and they won last year, so they've won 4 and 8 years. They've been in 5 out of the 8, so more than half, but they've won half. I would say dynasty. And then obviously the Bulls is a little bit more of an anomaly. From 90 to 96, right? Or yeah, or 98, sorry, from 90 to 98, they're in there 6 times, win six, dynasty, right? I think those are the two that you have if you're not including like the Bill Russell Celtics, that kind of stuff. Like if we're talking like more modern day NBA, it's definitely going to be the Bulls and Warriors. So I would say the Nuggets would have to do that. Now, when looking at the Western Conference, I think you have Warriors who are in decline. I think this was the Lakers' year. I think they're going to go in decline. Um, Memphis, who the freak knows? I think the Kings are decent. Like the only team that I really see challenging the Nuggets would probably be the Suns, and not because I'm like a bandwagon person. It's just you have D-Book, KD, everything. But even then, they don't look that great to me. Like I just see the Nuggets like who's going to stop Jokic? Who's going to stop Murray? Right? Like in the West, right?
DeAndre Ayton.
I don't. Tissue paper Ayton ain't doing crap. Um. Anyways, like who's going to stop Jokic? Who's going to stop Murray? I don't see anyone. And then you have Aaron Gordon, who I think is a good third option, and he showed in I think it was Game 4 is when he kind of went off and carried a little bit. He is a good option, and he's finding his role. Like he knows he's a role player. Does that make sense? Like he doesn't have to do a lot of stuff. He knows his role. And then I think MPJ is part of that core four, but with his injury history, it is a little bit more up in the air. But like I mean, his Game 5, he had 16 points, 13 rebounds. Like that's pretty huge. For like your fourth guy doing that, like I think that's pretty huge. So I think if you do keep those core seven, I think you have to keep seven of the guys. I think you have to have Jokic, Murray, Gordon, Porter, or sorry, MPJ. Have to have KCP, Bruce Brown, and then who's the other guy? I think Christian Brown. I think Christian Brown you can keep. If you keep those seven guys, I think you can fill in the rest of the bench and be fine. If I'm going to be honest. And just the way that the West looks, to me, it seems like they can definitely go back at least the Western Conference Finals. I would say probably finals again. So, in my opinion, I do think the Nuggets have all the pieces to be a dynasty. It really just depends on health and who they keep. So that would be my answer to that question.
There you go. Oh, I also we forgot to mention another dynasty. I would say from basketball, I would give the San Antonio Spurs. They won 4 and 8 as well.
Yeah, the Spurs. That's true. They won in the odd years. They won in 05, 7.
2000. They technically won in 99, and then 2003, 5-7,
Yeah.
which the 3-5-7 run was more dynasty-ish. But
yeah,
and that I just want to bring up a little sub question as well because it made me think about that because they obviously won in 2014. Probably should have won in 2013. We all know Ray Allen saved LeBron. I know you like that, Sam.
Yeah.
So,
He
but
did.
obviously those championships from 2007 to 13, that's pretty spread out, but it's like the same core of guys. So how do you still kind of view that as like a dynasty? Like, would you tie those extra years in or not really because it was too long, even though it was the same core?
Well, let's see. So I think if you're gonna do that, you have to lop off one of the outliers. And I'd be outliers as in you either have to cut off 99 and start at 03, or you cut off 14 and keep it with 99 to 7. That's my personal opinion, just because those years are a little different. Like obviously 03 to 07 is the core, and then 14, like that's 7 years, but that's still what, four? Yeah, that's 4 in 11 years, which is very good, of course. But I would definitely say 99 to 07, I think for me is more of a dynasty.
Yeah.
And then 14 was like, I would say a last hurrah. That's what I would say for the Spurs.
It's almost like a dynasty for the players themselves. If you include the 14, like
Yeah.
the Tim Duncan, and because it's their
Well, Tim
legacy.
Duncan, I mean, because he was in there from 99 to 14, so he went to how many finals? You know what I'm saying? So
He would have if Rayon didn't make that shot. I remember it was CB brought up to me the first time like years ago, and I didn't even think about it. He would have been 6-0 in the finals, which would have been
he
crazy.
would have.
Same as MJ, but unfortunately,
But yeah,
I like
I think you have to do. I think for Spurs dynasty, it's 99 through 7. That's what I think.
I think people think of him as a dynasty up until like Duncan and then retired, but I think that's more just like player legacy than like dynasty necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
I would give them as well as a dynasty. So three modern dynasties.
And I mean, I would say people do probably think of that as a dynasty because what did you have after that? The start of the Warriors, right? And kind of the West, right? So everyone, I mean, even maybe the Lakers, you could potentially, because they won in what, 01 and 02, and then won in 9 and 10.
Yeah.
So that's 4 and 9 years.
The Lakers also won in 2000 too. So I would have known.
Oh yeah, the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq, they won the three-peat. I think that is a dynasty.
Three-peat. Okay. Yeah, three-peat. Yeah, dynasty. So okay, so we'll say you had the Bulls, then you had, we'll say, Lakers, and then Spurs, Warriors. So those have been the 4 recent. We'll say that.
Let me just say though. Oh, you go, Sam.
The NBA is, well, I was just gonna say the NBA is pretty prone for like a dynasty run like that too. I think whenever like the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson duo happened, even before like the Bill Russell Celtics too, I think that rivalry, I mean, it kind of set forth for a bunch of different dynasties to come up.
Let me just say though, the Spurs, I don't know if they should have won in 2007. I always remember this as a bitter Suns fan. They got pretty screwed over. I don't even think you probably know what happened, Sam, but whatever.
No, I don't.
And all I know is that if whoever won between the Spurs and Suns were going to beat the Cavs. Like everyone knew that.
I know the Bucks one was probably. I mean, obviously they got to the finals, so that was more of a heartbreak. But that 7 Suns team was really robbed, to be honest. Oh, we don't got to bring that up. That was sad. That's prime Nash days. All right,
Nash.
Sorry, didn't mean
Man,
that. Sorry. Hey, Nash, love you, man. I got you right there. So you're always with me. Yeah, yeah. Pay your respects on that.
No ring Nash, bro. Come on.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, shut up, Sam. Screw you.
No, that's my nickname for him. No ring Nash.
Oh man.
We can't even argue it though.
Poor Charles. No ring Nash. Hey, Giannis is a ring no.
That might be the only ring he gets with the Bucks, so I can't complain about that.
You think so? I mean, they're
trying to trade for Bradley Beal. I've heard. I don't even. Yeah. They have like no assets left or anything. They traded everything away. I don't even know how they'd get them.
A lot of people forget that they were the number 1 seed coming into the playoffs too, even though they.
Oh, looking at how Jimmy Butler, which I think good transition, Sam.
Oh, maybe
looking at how Jimmy Butler played later on in the playoffs compared to how he played against the Bucks makes me a little sad because he tore the Bucks apart. And I thought he was unstoppable, and then he kind of fizzled out, and then he really fizzled out in the finals. Which is that what we're thinking for the next topic? Is that what you guys?
Yeah, I already lapped the stopwatch. We're on it. I just wanted to say, like, I know we have about 10, 15 minutes left. I know we haven't talked about the Heat like really at all until now. But Heat fans, this is our dedicated section to you. We appreciate you. We love you. Great run as the 8 seed. I think one of the better runs, I would say. Just who they had to beat and everything. But I do like the question that Charles asked in our Discord and kind of now. It's okay, what happened to Jimmy Butler? Jimmy himself in the NBA Finals. It seemed like he wasn't himself until like the last 5 minutes of Game 5 of the NBA Finals. And that's my personal opinion. But I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. And I mean, for me, I think it's almost like it's a little tiring. Like he just played how many games, right? You played, was it 5? I think in the first round. Was that right, Charles? Or 6?
5. They'd be the Bucks in 5.
Yeah, so you played 5, and then you played, was it 5 or 6 against the Knicks?
6.
6, and then 7 against the Celtics. So that's 13 plus 5. That's 18 plus another 5. That's 23 games.
Yeah.
And during the Knicks series, he did roll his ankle pretty bad and everything, and maybe that kind of did something. But granted, he played well with the Celtics against Celtics. But I mean, 23 games, that's a lot of games, and with Tyler Hero being out and then Victor Oladipo being out, like I don't know. What do you guys think, like about his finals run, but as well as how his play in the finals were and the Heat team in general?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I know I brought up what happened to Jimmy Butler, but really when I think about the question, it's like what happened to the Heat, especially after game 2. So I went into the finals. I thought the Heat were going to win in 6 because they had just proved me wrong every series. Well, I didn't think they'd beat the Knicks. I did not think they'd beat the Celtics. Proved me wrong again. As Bill Simmons called them, he called them the Miami Zombies. Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, who looked like Kawhi Leonard in the Celtics series. Duncan Robinson, he came back to life out of nowhere. So I was thinking,
He
I
freaking
don't
looks
know.
like the guy from Jimmy Neutron, bro.
Yeah, yeah, he does. I just thought I thought that they were just going to will themselves to the win, and after game 2, I was like, I felt pretty confident about. I was like, yeah, they're back because Gabe Vincent had 20 something points, and they got some threes from Max Strus. He got off to a hot start, and then I don't know what happened. The rest of the series were not very good at all.
Yeah.
And Jimmy still wasn't even that good before their collapse. Game 2, he wasn't even the best. He shot 36%. He had 9 assists, but I remember watching it. It was Gabe Vincent and those other guys, and Bam, who I think was the best player for them in the finals. They were doing more of the work than Jimmy was. And I do think the Knicks injury has to come into play a little bit here. So I think that's part of it. But yeah, he lost confidence. It looked like he wasn't shooting with as much impurity, as he was before. He wasn't really, shooting with confidence. You can kind of see he was a little more timid with his shot, a little more timid with his moves. And that's just because he had been struggling. Even in the Celtics series, he wasn't that good. He didn't shoot very well at all. And I don't know how much of an impact the ankle injury had or what, but the Heat really did flame out. And for some reason, they didn't play well at home in the playoffs either, especially those last couple series. They'd lost their last 4 home playoff games. And, the Nuggets just came in and took it to them, and it didn't, I don't know. It kind of felt weird how they collapsed, but I guess when you look back on it, it's what I guess in my mind was expecting to happen earlier, and it just never did. So I kind of became immune to what they kind of were this season because they were only 44 and 38 because they couldn't score that well. They weren't that good from shooting, especially from 3. They were one of the worst teams, but they caught fire in the playoffs, which is what fueled their run. And they turned back kind of into that 8 seed in those last 3 games, which is, what I thought would happen earlier. And yeah, it kind of, I mean, I didn't want the Heat to win, so I'm happy the Nuggets won, but I thought they would. So I was really, when I saw, after game 3, I was like, oh, they'll come out better game 4. And I don't know, it just wasn't there. They were that 8 seed again. That's what they turned into. And I think they win as Jimmy went, to be honest. I know they got away with it from the Celtics series, but like what happened to Caleb Martin, for example? He disappeared in the finals. If he didn't go off like he did against the Celtics, they probably aren't being the Celtics, right? So I don't know. I think they go as Jimmy goes, and once he starts struggling, I think they just kind of died out on him. And I don't know. Yeah, it's not like their defense was bad. They kept the Nuggets to pretty not too high of scores. They just couldn't score themselves, which is what they struggled with all season. So but they've always been a good defensive team. They always will be. So
it led back to a lot of people didn't realize that they were actually, like you said, the 8 seed coming into the playoffs. They barely had an over 500 record, and like you said, when Jimmy Butler wasn't really hot, the rest of the team was pretty ice cold too.
Real quick, Sam, before you keep going, they lost to the Hawks in the play game. They got kind of steamrolled by the Hawks. Just let this think the Hawks.
I think they were losing.
Yes,
3 seconds to go in game 2.
Like 3 minutes. They were losing to the Bulls.
I might have been blowing that up a little bit.
They were down like 3 with like 3 minutes left. If they lose that game, they don't even make it.
Yeah.
So but keep going.
No, exactly. It was an absolute miracle to even get into the playoffs after that play-in tournament too. But Jimmy B, I mean, there's so much hype with him. Obviously, we were all talking about it with him beating the Knicks and then the Celtics. it was kind of beautiful to watch, but then yeah, they all kind of fizzled out. The whole team fizzled out in the finals. And I mean, I was kind of shocked and disappointed, definitely. I didn't really watch any games after like halftime of game three because I kind of knew the Heat weren't really going to come back from this. It was awesome to see them win game two like that. I mean, they only won by like 4 or 5 points, I believe. It was a pretty close game, but yeah, I was expecting a lot more kind of hype, especially when they were going to Miami, seeing the home crowd, but they still kind of sucked. Like you said, Max Strus, Caleb Barton, they just stopped playing. Bam did great, but no one else really did great, and they didn't have their god Tower Hero. I mean, granted, he probably shouldn't have played because he had that hand injury and he could probably re-aggravate it pretty easily. But I was really hoping he would come back sometime soon. And they said there was a pretty good chance for him to play in the last game, but Spoelstra was like, "No, you're not playing," and they lost. So thanks, Eric.
Um, for me, I definitely have some thoughts on it because one of my buddies, shout out to my boy Preston, um, he's a Heat fan and everything. And he likes them, and he was telling me the whole season, hey, like we're a good team, we just have been getting unlucky and all that stuff. And I think to an extent that's true. But at the end of the day, too, like they couldn't score when they needed to, and that was their problem the whole time. And when you're an 8 seed, like there's a reason why you're an 8 seed. Like if I'm just gonna be honest, like there's a reason why you're an 8 seed. Like very rarely do you magically like turn into something you're not. And against better defense and just a better team, as in Denver, you could see that they were an 8 seed. Like you could just see the shot selection and who they're going to. Granted, losing Oladipo and Hero, like Hero is like a starter 6 man, right? And then Oladipo came off the bench. Like it's hard to lose those two dudes because at least there's bodies and there's some size, and now you get even smaller pretty much. And I think that's hard because the Heat were a smaller team compared to Denver. I mean, you have Aaron Gordon, who's is he 6'8", 6'9", Michael Porter Jr., who's 6'10", Jokic is 7 foot. Like those are three of your starters, whereas Miami has no one other than Bam who's close to 6'10". Like Bam's like 6'9", like
Cody
maybe
Zeller.
6'10".
Oh my
Like I
god,
said, like I said, you only
it's
have Bam
garbage.
pretty much. Like if you have to put in Cody Zeller, like that's not good. Like it means you don't really
Yeah,
have a
I
good
agree with that.
backup. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so what I was telling people is I said Denver in five. I don't think I said that on the podcast because we didn't have one before. But to all my buddies, I said Denver in five. Um, but you play who you are, and there's a reason why all those Miami guys were undrafted, right? Like there's a reason why they're all undrafted. They're not game changers. And as much as that like hurts to say, like obviously I'm not even close to being drafted, not even close to touching a college court. Like those guys far and away better than all of us, like shoot the lights out. But when we compare it to NBA people, right, the current, employees of the NBA, there's a reason why those guys are undrafted and most people don't have a bench full of undrafted guys, right?
Yeah.
And so I do think pressure did get to them. And I do think they kind of just ran out of steam. I think if they would have beat the Celtics in 5 games, I think this series probably goes 6 or 7. But because that series was 7 games, you're up 3-0, then tied 3-3, I think that really took a toll on the Heat more than what people think. Um, and then you realize, oh, we got to play Jokic and them. I mean, and Jokic and Murray and all them. I mean, they they swept the Lakers, so they were off for like over a week and a half, waiting for the finals. And so I think that's also key. And then was I surprised that Miami took one in Denver? I was because of the altitude, like of course, 100%. But like expecting them to win Game Five, I think was a tall task. And granted, the referees tried to make it to where Miami could win that game. There were so many fouls that were not called, and it was like a brawl. It was like just a big bar fight, pretty much.
Yeah, that
Um,
was a bad game, honestly.
But the Heat. I mean, I think if you're the Heat, what you take from this is we have the pieces to make a run. So let's go get another star that can help us. And I would say they have two things. You need to get another star to take the load off of Jimmy and Bam, and two, you need more size.
I'm hearing
And
Dame
that's
Lillard.
I am hearing Dame Lillard, but they just need size. Like think about if you have like another 6'10" or 6'11" guy, that would help out Bam, I think, a lot, right? Just taking some
Yeah.
pressure off. So to me, it's from this series and from this playoffs run, you need size and another star. Other than that, Heat culture is true. They can beat anybody. And
Mm.
Eric Spoelstra, I would say, is probably one of the best coaches in the NBA right now. Um, and if you're the Heat and the Heat fans, I would say you take this as a stepping stone to, okay, like we're in contention. We just need to get better in those key areas. But overall, I mean, if you're a Heat fan, like what more could you have wanted? I mean, you're an 8 seed, play in tournament 8 seed, and you go all the way to the finals. Like, as much as I would hate the Suns losing other finals, I would I would have rather had us be an 8 seed and go to the finals than get smacked at home again. I mean, granted, we lost the eventual NBA champions and we took the most games off of them compared to everyone else, which hey, that's a good thing. But like being in the finals is really fun. So
Yeah, I mean, I got to give the Heat. I know we're giving them some criticism, which they, just ultimately deserve some for how they finished. But and when you look at the long, the whole picture, it's really impressive what they did. And I mean, they smacked my Bucks in 5 games. I mean, I was looking as you were talking about. I was looking at their game log at the playoffs, and what they scored against the Bucks was nuts. They scored 130, 122, 121, 119, 128. Jimmy averaged 37 a game on 60% shooting. And I look at the finals in comparison: 93, 111, which was their highest, 94, 95, 89. A huge difference. They just, yeah. And even against like the Celtics, it wasn't the highest, especially when they lost those couple games. They had like a 99, a 97, 102, 103. It was like low 100. Knicks, 109, 105, 103, so I can't believe how they played against the Bucks. They just they
Yeah.
absolutely went
They
off on
kind of
them, and their defense kind of helped them through the next couple rounds. Boston was kind of a mess, but yeah, they finally met their match. So, but still,
Yeah.
a very impressive run. I'm disappointed how Jimmy ended the playoff run. Like I said, we don't know how much the ankle affected him, but I am disappointed because it just wasn't him, and he was not shooting well. And I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
They made it pretty far at least. I mean, they made it as far as they could. I just hope Jimmy Buckets will get a ring sooner or later. He is that guy. He's got the dog.
You think Himmy's that guy?
I mean, he is that guy.
I
I
mean,
would
is that guy.
if I were Eric Spoelstra, I would just go straight to Cody Zeller and work with him. He's got the size already. He's got the potential to be the stardom too. I mean, best of both worlds,
I
right?
think
there.
it was Stephen A who said Jimmy can't be a number one option on a championship team. I think Stephen A said that.
Ooh, okay, that's a
Here's the
hot take.
thing. I think Jimmy can be the number one option, but it has to be 1A, 1B. It can't
Yeah,
just be a
I
solid
actually
one.
kind of agree. I don't think he's a solid one either. I actually do
No.
agree with him a little bit.
I think
So
he's 1A. I think it's a 1A, 1B. I don't think he can be the number one, like as an alpha male. Like obviously, like he's not a KD, he's not a Booker. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not him.
he's not a Jokic.
But
He's not
he's
a
not a Jokic, he's
Giannis.
not a Giannis,
Yeah.
he's not an Embiid, he's not Tatum, all that kind of stuff, right?
He's right.
But
He's below them. He's the level below them.
I'd say he's level below. I'd say if you get Dame on that team, Dame's 1A, Jimmy's 1B, I would be scared of that team. Because you have a shooter in Dame, Dame time, and then you have Jimmy who will still play his butt off. And then you have Bam as like a 2 option, or in this case, that'd be 3. Like
Yeah.
that's a tough task. That's a tough task.
That'd be very tough. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like Bam a lot. He's a very good player. And he was
Mhm.
he
Don't I
was
mean,
important for them.
yeah,
Like I said,
for
he was their
sure,
best player in the finals, in my opinion, for
for
sure.
sure. Yeah, don't forget Oladipo too. I mean,
Yeah.
he's had some star years. It's a little bit in the past now,
It's
but
just his knees. I just don't trust his health. That's the only reason
yeah,
why.
he's pretty injury prone now.
Hmm.
But I mean, don't count him out.
Yeah, I think a good episode, good finals episode. We need to get it out there. Let's go. Good stuff.
I'd agree.
I liked it. I
Yes,
liked
we
it.
did. You want to hit us with the outro, Sam? Actually,
Oh, me? You looking at me with the outro?
yes.
Oh, by the way, sorry,
Oh,
I just thought about this. Just to shout out, um, one of our interviewees that we had on the podcast, Danny
Mm.
Kalen, got invited to the Elite 11 camp
Oh,
for
really?
football this year, and it just finished, and he was tied for fifth as fifth best in the Elite 11, and
That's
he was one of the few 3 stars to be invited, and that's a really juniors and seniors get to go and stuff, but that's a really elite honor, and so just want to shout him out and give him his flowers, and that's a really cool thing. So
You actually bring up a very good point as well. I'm going to be, I think maybe this next week. I wish I would have done it this past week when we were a little MIA. It would have been perfect. But I'm going to upload our interviews one a day from when it was just Matt and I with no notes. And I'm going to have all our interviews up as a little archive so you guys can keep out a lookout for that. We also had Danny on. We had another name, Connor Mance. We had Brecken Monzingo, who was an All-American soccer player, which I saw. That was really cool. And we had a couple others, so keep a lookout for those.
hey,
Hoping to do more interviews too. That's another thing we want to
yeah.
include. So,
Hey, bro, you can't forget about the GOAT.
well, I didn't want. That's why I didn't say his name. Don't worry. I know
Okay,
exactly what
okay.
you're
I
thinking of.
guess you
I didn't
wanted
say
to
his
be
name.
a,
That's
I
why.
guess you wanted to be a secret then.
I'll
I've
make sure that's
actually,
number 7.
yeah,
And
that's
I'm gonna just upload them in chronological
okay.
order when we did them.
That's a good
But
idea.
yeah.
But I've been striving for Charles to get him back on the podcast. I want to
We
interview him again.
we probably could. I'm not even
We could,
kidding.
yeah.
You want to interview him this time? Maybe you can do it. Maybe
I
Matt and I will
guess
take a break that
I'll
episode.
interview him and he'll respond and be like, "Who are you?" Like, I don't know. I'm some nobody. But
That's cool.
anyway,
Thanks for updating me on that, Matt.
that is
no
really
problem.
cool. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. It's glad to be back, or we're glad to be back. I mean, long awaited new podcast episode covering the finals. We have a lot of fun topics coming down the pipeline. I think in the future episodes, I believe we might have some like watch parties, some other
Whoa,
fun stuff coming
whoa,
up.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
So yeah, stay tuned. This is Sam Cookie, H double and Maddie B signing out. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.
Peace.